Yeah.
Um, what would you say the reason? So when this culture, obviously I wasn't there, but
Yeah.
the history that I've studied, this is a culture that was grown through the efforts of young people.
Correct.
Why would you say in this day and time you don't necessarily see an abundance of young people in the forefront leading the charge for the culture like it was in the past?
Very great question. In the early days of this nation, it was young brothers, Black Messiah and many of the first 9 were young, right? Very young in knowledge, very young in wisdom, and very clear about their determined idea at that time. And then we're talking about the environment, right? Now, as Law returned, unfortunately, as a martyr, which I call him a martyr, he got murdered being a person who wanted to share this knowledge with the young. And again, our nation went into a hibernation moment where everything was at a standstill until what happened at that Christmas party in the desert when all the gods and earths came together out there, which is why I always say you got to come through the desert to reestablish certain things within yourself. I don't mean the desert meaning Queens, I mean the desert of life. You got to go through some real, quicksands and some desert storms to come out on the other side.
Do you know, sidebar, but do you know who spearheaded that gathering in Queens?
But what I understand, other than the show and prove, was Prince of Law, you know what I mean, out of the desert. If my memory serves me correctly, Born of Law, and I think it was Dumar. I know they did the show and prove, but I also think they had a very intricate part of that science too. Because remember who was there? Old man C. Just was there, right? Old man Justice was out in the desert. That's how it got there between Al Jamel, Uhura, and Allah's right-hand man. Not talking about Abu Shahid, we're talking about old man Justice C. So I think that resurrection, because Allah was now gone, the only one that was left was Justice, and he was in the desert. You know what I'm saying? He was in Queens. So I think that is where that resurrection started, in the desert. Right? Now, of course, you had the Medina guards, you had the Mecca guards, some of them were still in prison, and you had the Medina guards doing what they had to do in terms of extending that. I think out of the boroughs that got it last, other than Staten Island, I think Queens was the last borough to get it as it relates to the transition from Mecca to Medina, from Medina to the desert, from the desert. No, if my memory serves me correctly, Mecca, Medina, Pelon, the desert, then Staten Island. You know what I mean? As far as Lord's Island, over there on the island on the other side. You know what I mean? But again, you had interluded with another part. You mentioned you had 2 questions.
About young people.
Right, young people. So
between then and now.
Right, the difference between then and now is that then there was this fascination of knowledge. Remember, the Nation of Islam, I'm talking about the Nation of Islam under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, had a very major influence in the young people's mind in terms of this new knowledge that was hidden. Then you had Malcolm, then you had Marcus Garvey, then you had all these influent Black leaders that was talking about wake up. Even in the early days of music, I'm talking about the golden era, it was a consciousness that people wanted to know. Right? Young people wanted to hear lectures. They wanted to hear what needed to be heard. In this day and time, they don't want to hear no lectures. They want to see. Hence, Allah is seen and then he's heard, according to the degree. Right? So if Allah is seen, as I always say, what is he doing? That's what the young people want to see. And if they don't see brothers doing that, they're not trying to hear no older brother or sister talking about you God, but you in a impoverished state of mind. Or you, your condition of how you live, you got tracks in your arm from heroin, and you talking about I'm God. Or you are not taking care of yourself as a Black woman, you looking like a skank, you looking like a hoe, you know what I mean? And you playing yourself. So young people in this new knowledge, and talking about this artificial knowledge running around, right? They're looking at all these things. Okay, God, great, you God, now what? You're not giving me substance of food, clothing, and shelter? Then excuse my expression, then shut up. Because what you telling me ain't even working for you, brother. What you telling me ain't even working for you, sister. And until it works, it ain't working. So like we say, young people would rather see a lecture than hear one. That's why a lot of the black leadership is missing, right? There's no more Jesse Jacksons, Al Sharpton and the Runner's Course, and all these alleged black leaders. Where are they? It has to come from the 5% now, because our lesson said, let the 5% teach. Okay, but what are they teaching? It can't just be that the black man is God. That's his nature to be that. You got to teach how to be in control of your destiny and how to do it. You got to know how to do it. You know, so yeah, the young people of today have a low tolerance for people talking and have no action behind what they say. That's why they're out of line, they're out of order, and that's why they have no respect for the elders, because when it comes to revolutionary reality is bloody, right? It's, as you know, as Malcolm would say, which Malcolm was a part of, Allah's, education under his tutelage. He said the price of freedom is death. Are you willing to die for this nation? You willing to bleed for it? Most won't. You know what I mean? But many have. And that's why we have to take this thing serious. Not to the point of pushing people away, because sometimes our knowledge and our force and our energy will push a good person away, because they don't understand the sensitivity that comes with this, with us, who is in our heart to do this. And everybody's not meant to do this, but it got to be done by the chosen few, right? And those who choose, y'all know the story. Excuse my, they calling me now from all types of walks of life. You got to choose yourself in this, man, and when you choose yourself, it's a hell of a responsibility and obligation that come with it, Excuse me. Sorry about this interruption.
You need to take it?
No, I'm gonna have to call them back.
They must be listening to the bill.
Maybe, everybody's listening. The phone is listening. Now, what I'm gonna do is they're gonna leave me a message. It's coming from the VA, because I had an appointment today for my knee. So maybe it's them calling me about that. But anyway, like I said, you gotta choose. Yeah, it's the doctor calling me for my knee. But like I said, anyway, the point I'm saying, God, is that we have a serious responsibility as being the 5% in this day and time. We have a serious responsibility with the youth. We're going to be doing some things with the youth soon, coming up here in Long Beach, and that is something that they want to see as an example. You got to put your money where your mouth is, and you got to make sure that you're there. No, we're not going to be here forever, you guys on earth. One day we're going to die. We're going to move on to the next realm. And these young brothers and sisters, what do they have to say that somebody left for them to carry the torch? You know what I mean, the hereafter, right? That's a part of our lessons, right? That's the 39th degree, you know what I mean? So we have a serious job, some of us know how to do it. Some of us got to show others how to do it. But once we do, you got to do it. It's very easy to go and try to bring people together for the wrong reasons. Right? That's easy to do, hence the gang life, hence the stuff you've seen out there, people going back and forth with all types of negative nonsense, and that seems to be what people want to be a part of in order to be validated. But to be God and earth and be righteous in this takes a certain character, but you're not going to get any rewards. You're not going to get some type of a 10-year, outstanding achievement award. And although we do that from time to time with those who are worthy of it, there's not something you're going to get a 401k plan of or insurance policy out of it. You know what I'm saying? It's just something that, as it all, you have to pay your price. You're going to have to wear your cross, and you're going to be crucified when you're speaking the truth in a world of lies. And you got to be ready to deal with that. You got to be ready to deal with the rejection from your family, from your alleged friends, from your community, but you still got to stand firm for what that is in the name and in the purpose of 120 lessons, which is what this whole subject matter was supposed to be on. What is the purpose behind it? And it is questions that was in that degree that the God didn't ask yet. You know what I mean? But that lesson is real. You know what I'm saying? That's a real lesson, and it's a very important one.